You dive straight into the heaviness of it. Because the truth is this: what Wentworth Miller said about Prison Break 6 left many people stunned, heartbroken, and completely unprepared. There wasn't a build-up, there wasn't a warm announcement, and there definitely wasn't a gentle explanation. It felt like a door millions of fans had been waiting to reopen was quietly shut. You hear it in his tone, in the way he expresses himself, in the way he chooses his words carefully. Wentworth wasn't just making a statement, he was letting go of something that shaped an entire generation of TV lovers. So when he addressed the topic of Prison Break 6, he didn't sugarcoat it. He didn't tease a possible return. He didn't play with fans' emotions. He told his truth, and that truth hit harder than anyone expected. Because before we talk about the reaction, before we talk about the studio, before we talk about the cast, you need to understand the weight behind his words. Wentworth Miller carried Michael Scofield for years. He lived inside the mind of a man who was constantly sacrificing, running, calculating, hurting, and surviving. And the emotional toll of embodying a character like that, especially one so deeply adored, wasn't just professional, it was personal. So when he finally spoke about Prison Break 6, he wasn't just speaking as an actor, he was speaking as a human being who had reached a point of clarity. He made it clear that he wasn't coming back, and not because the show lacked potential, not because the story couldn't continue, but because he personally had moved on from the character and from the environment that came with it. And this wasn't said with anger. It wasn't said with frustration. It was said with peace, the kind of peace that comes when someone accepts that a chapter of their life is truly finished. Now for a moment, imagine the millions of fans who had held on to hope, fans who followed theories, who shared rumors, who believed a sixth season was just waiting to be announced. The possibility of Prison Break 6 lived in the minds of people who had been emotionally invested for years, and when Wentworth finally spoke, it was like the final confirmation many wished they would never hear. But what makes this moment even more emotional is that he didn't dismiss the show. He didn't distance himself from the legacy. Instead, he acknowledged how much it meant, not only to the audience, but to him as well. He respected the show, he respected the people who supported it, and he respected the impact Michael Scofield had on television history. But at the same time, he respectfully explained that his journey with the character had already reached its natural end. He didn't leave room for false hope. He didn't allow the possibility to hang in the air. He chose honesty, even though the honesty hurt. And in that honesty, you can feel years of growth, self-reflection, and personal evolution. Because Wentworth Miller today is not the same man who walked into Fox River in 2005. He has changed. His career has changed. His life has changed. And the way he views his art has changed. When he said he would not return for Prison Break 6, he emphasized a very important point. He wants to tell stories that reflect who he is now, not who he was then. He wants roles that align with his identity, his voice, and his truth. Prison Break, as iconic as it was, belonged to a different phase of his life, a phase he no longer connects with in the same way. But that brings us to the question many fans still struggle with. Does this mean Prison Break 6 is completely impossible? And the answer is complicated. Because while Wentworth Miller made his position clear, the franchise itself is a different story. The studio has shown interest in continuing the world of Prison Break. Writers have pitched ideas. Other cast members have expressed that they would be open to returning. But without Michael Scofield, without the mind of the entire operation, the question becomes, can the story truly go on? Fans argue that the show simply cannot exist without him. Others say a spin-off could work. Some believe a continuation could focus on new characters. But no matter what direction the studio might choose, one truth remains solid. Wentworth's decision created a turning point. And if you actually listen to the deeper meaning behind what he said, you realize something even more powerful. He isn't trying to disappoint fans. He isn't rejecting the show. He isn't closing the door out of bitterness. He is choosing authenticity. He is choosing mental peace. He is choosing a future where he can grow in new directions. And that takes courage. What many people don't realize is that actors who play emotionally heavy characters often carry unnoticed scars. Michael Scofield wasn't just a hero. He was a man who suffered, a man who carried guilt, pain, trauma, and responsibility that no human being could realistically survive. Playing a character like that, especially for so many years, affects the actor behind the performance. And Wentworth acknowledged this in his own way. He poured his heart into the character. He gave everything he had, and when he was done, he knew he was truly done. No cliffhanger, no comeback, no hidden announcement, just closure. But here's the emotional part many fans feel deeply. Prison Break was more than just a show. It was hope for people going through dark times. It was escape for those feeling overwhelmed. It was motivation for those who admired Michael's intelligence, bravery, and sacrifice. And hearing that the man who brought all that to life was stepping back created a sense of loss, not because anyone is entitled to his return, but because of how much his work meant. Wentworth didn't ignore this emotional bond. He acknowledged it. He expressed appreciation. He honored the fans' love, but he stood firm in his decision. It's also important to understand that the entertainment industry evolves. Actors evolve. Life evolves. A show that made sense 10 or 15 years ago may no longer fit into the identity someone has today. For Wentworth Miller, that's exactly the situation. So where does that leave Prison Break 6? It leaves it in a place of possibility. But a possibility without its central figure. The story might continue in another form. The universe might be expanded. New characters might rise. Old faces may return. But the heart of the show, Michael Scofield, will not be a part of it, because Wentworth has said his final goodbye to the role. And as painful as that is for longtime fans, it also brings a rare kind of respect, because not everyone chooses honesty in this industry. Not everyone chooses to step away from a beloved role. Not everyone chooses what is right for their soul, even when it disappoints millions. Wentworth did, and that will always be part of his legacy. Not just the genius architect, not just the tattooed mastermind, not just the brother who would risk everything, but the man who learned when his journey with a character had reached its final chapter. So yes, what he said about Prison Break 6 was emotional. It was unexpected. It was final. And it reminded everyone that actors are not their characters. They grow, they evolve, and they must choose the paths that reflect who they truly are today. If you want more deep dive stories like this, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel.